We have to make sure that the politicians are held accountable.
Every administration had the ability to put a ban on asbestos.
When it comes to asbestos, it really is about power, money, and politics.
Next we have two speakers from Brazil. First is from the Labor Ministry, a Labor Prosecutor rather, Marcia, Cristina, Kamei, Lopez Aliaga.
Copy.
First of all, I would like to say it's a great pleasure.
Right.
Yes, this one. It's a pleasure to be here at the ADAO conference again. Thanks, Linda, one more time for your kind invitation and for all that ADAO team has been done for us to be here. Thank you all. Now I guess it's important to give a brief explanation about the institution that I am representing here, the Federal Labor Prosecution Office. In Brazil, in addition to criminal lawsuits, the Prosecution Office has the attribution to investigate irregularities practiced by public agents, enterprises, entrepreneurs, and citizens in relevant issues for the society, such as defending health, environment, gender, race or color discrimination, and corruption. Thus, the Brazilian Prosecution Office can also be in charge to promote class actions lawsuits seeking for civil redress. Another Brazilian peculiarity is the existence of courts specialized in labor affairs. Therefore, there is the Federal Labor Prosecution Office, where I work for, that takes care of the interest in the rights of laborers without criminal attribution. We don't have criminal attribution in this branch. Although Brazil is one of the 10 greatest economies in the world, our people pay a high social price that demands our intervention. That's why the Federal Labor Prosecution Office created in 2012 the Asbestos Banning National Program. It is a strategic project and subordinated to the General Labor Prosecutor. And nowadays, I manage this program that was created for banning this cancerous fiber in Brazil that in 2014 was the third greatest asbestos producer and exported, and the fourth greatest consumer in global scale. The strategy of the Asbestos Banning National Program achieved excellent results. The leading fiber cement enterprise that I will nominate here after the intervention of Mr. Eric Eternit, that also explores asbestos mining in the country, announced the phase out of the production with asbestos to 2018. The announcement was done after several judicial defeats in class actions promoted by the Asbestos Banning National Program, and after a recent decision of the Brazilian Federal Supreme Court, which stated that the federal law ruling to control the use of asbestos was unconstitutional, putting an end on asbestos use in Brazil. It's important to enhance that in these lawsuits, we also seek for compensation to the society's moral distress. Because when a company abuses of their workers, acting in violation to their human rights, not only the workers themselves suffer, but all the society pays the price for this respectful behavior. The society cannot lose the faith in the protective system. So in these lawsuits, the justice has ruled compensations which has been sent to a fund or to entities or even to projects related to the cases in order to compensate the moral damages. For example, in São Paulo, Dr. Upiratã de Paula Santos presented a project to an ambulatory, which will be in charge to attend the workers with asbestos-related diseases from Osasco. Well, I think that I'll have to go on. So here I present a table showing the lawsuits and settlement that have been done since 2014. It's important to highlight that all the social movements efforts, in addition to the lawsuits and settlement strategically promoted by the Federal Labor Prosecution Office, has achieved important outcomes, not as long as only 2 companies besides the asbestos mine were still operating in Brazil. In 2014, there were 13 industrial plants in operation. Let me tell something about the Supreme Court verdict. For more than 2 decades, in the absence of a federal law prohibiting asbestos use, some states and several cities of the Brazilian Federation approved their own laws banning asbestos in their borders. Therefore, the National Confederation of Industrial Workers filed many actions at the Brazilian Federal Supreme Court, seeking for the declaration of unconstitutionality of these states and city laws. On the other hand, the National Labor Prosecutors Association and the National Labor Judges Association filed an action aiming at the declaration of unconstitutionality of the federal law of control the use of asbestos, which of APREA performed as one of the amici curiae, a kind of friends of the court. After waiting for a decision from the Brazilian Federal Supreme Court for decades, last August the court restarted the trial of all of these actions. Finally, on November, the Brazilian Federal Court issued the verdict. Asbestos use, production, and economic exploitation are incompatible with health and life of human beings and must be eliminated from the legal order with binding and erga omnes effect that is for all of the population. The first question that you may ask us is if the mine has already been shut down. Fernanda is going to answer this disturbing question. Thank you.
And now Fernanda Giannasi, who is been instrumental in getting rid of asbestos in Brazil.
I have very few time. I wanted to thank so much to ADAO to this opportunity to be here and meet and hear so incredible works and experience. After Tony Rich's presentation, as well Mark Kaplan, I attempted to suggest to you, Linda, that we would campaign to set up an asbestos-museum as the marvelous museum we visited yesterday. We have a lot of materials, lot of documents. I think that we can get such important fact. Following Dr. Marcia, with no so good news from my country, I have to mention that before the total, before the total ban asbestos in Brazil, we had 12 states and more than 50 municipalities that had approved laws to ban asbestos. The blank spaces are from states where we have no debates or no industrial activities. Goiás state, where this one, where the asbestos mine is based, is in the central part of the country and where it is our federal capital. The ban asbestos in Brazil last November got huge repercussion in the mass media in international and national levels. It created, as Marcia said, a binding effect for all states of the Federation, it was declared the controlled use of asbestos law was unconstitutional and created a new jurisprudence which has been quoted in other trials, as for example, that one about the prison for the former President Lula. Here, a quote. During the trial, Dow's Chemicals lawyer protested, asking for a safe transition as it was in Europe. Claim was rejected by the justices. After the trial, I don't know if I was so down. After the trial, Ethernet announced widely to stop their mining activities until the decision of all the appeals. They would submit immediately to earn more time, extra time. They announced they will use the new technology of polypropylene from now produced in their new plant in Amazonas state. Unfortunately, in the eve of the Christmas holiday, one of the justices, the reporter who defended the ban asbestos in a so strong speech, Rosa Weber, decided monocratically, under pressure from the asbestos lobby, to grant an injunction determining the suspension of the effect erga omnes, that means the ban for all states, until the final clarifications through the amended of a judgment, until the final of all appeals appreciated by the court. In this moment, only the state laws are valid, based on this decision that she did alone, after 10 judges decided to ban asbestos. A shame. Dow is the unique chlor-alkali company using asbestos diaphragm in Brazil. Dow challenged the law that banned asbestos in Bahia state, and they blackmailed the governor, state deputies, and chemical workers union, saying they would close the plant in Brazil and dismiss workers if an extra time was not guaranteed to them. We had 3 companies using asbestos diaphragms in Brazil. In 2004, the major production of chlorine in Brazil, 72%, was produced by asbestos diaphragm technology. Nowadays, only 26.5%. Dow was in 2004 the second producer with 30% of the market. Now, here it's the plant in Bahia. Now, Dow is the major producer and has 26.5% of the Brazilian market chlorine. It is the only company still using and asbestos and resisting to replace the fiber killer. Here, some photos from the Dow plant in Bahia state I took during my inspections as a labor inspector, where I worked for 30 years. You can notice that Dow's representative followed me all the time, inspecting my work and filming me as a way to intimidate me. Important to emphasize that if there is no risk at the chlor-alkali companies, why they have to use this paraphernalia festival of equipments in a state in the northeast of the country where the average of temperature is around 40 degrees centigrade? A good question never answered by Dow.
Preach, girl.
On April 11th, when I was going to the airport, the Chamber of State Deputies in Bahia rejected Dow's appeal to amend the local ban asbestos, giving a derogation of extra 6 years to continue using asbestos. We are going, when I arrive in Brazil, I'm going to Bahia to make a demonstration against DAO. On March 19 eternity, after several condemnations, alleged insolvency because of debt of $100 million, and filed a request for court-supervised reorganization and bankruptcy. The struggle goes on. We can't stop it because we own battles, but not the war. I appeal to all of you to give the hands and continue even more stronger this important struggle around the world. Thank you.